Thanks for being with us today. I'm Dr. John O'Keefe, your breakthrough specialist and host of Celebrity Entrepreneur. You know, this is the show that each week try to take you into elements of business, whether it's in the entertainment business, in all kinds of walks of life, sports, whatever you might be, to give you tips and ideas from people who've been there and done that. Things that you can do and use to build your business and build your life. Today, I'm extremely excited because we've got a super special guest. We have with us Brian Beirne, Mr. Rock and Roll. Brian, thanks for being with me today.
Dr. John, pleasure.
You bet, you bet. Now, you know, today we're going to hear a lot of fun stories, I think. But Brian spent over 5 decades in the industry, right? And was with K-Earth 101, the oldie station that you and I really love, for 29 years.
29 years.
Yeah. And isn't that like the record?
That was the record, actually, for doing middays nationally in the same time slot, same station.
Wow. You know, that's the kind of thing that we love to hear about today. And the thing that has created a lot of success for Brian, as he'll talk about, is the consistency and the professionalism that he brings to his business. Now, in reviewing his bio, we find really interesting things. Like, I don't know if you knew it, but I understand you're an expert in the Elvis and his life.
Yes.
And we'll be talking a little bit about that as well. And I read in the bio that at one time, the thing that I found interesting was that I think the Beatles were putting out a new album, and I think, wasn't it Ringo and Paul called you and said, "Hey, would you put our..."
Yeah. I was actually the only person at the station that day, and Ringo and John, who were many beers in at that point, called up and they said, "We'd like to hear Yesterday. We'd like to hear Sinatra's version, our version, and Ray Charles' version, and put them all back to back." And I thought, well, it's certainly breaking format, but it is John and Ringo, so what the heck? So I did it, and you know, just one of those great moments.
Oh, that's got to have been a great moment in history. So, Brian, with your background, how did your career begin, and how did you reach your goals?
Well, I actually, when I was a kid, of course, growing up in the 50s, and with all the cowboy heroes, the Lone Ranger and Hopalong Cassidy and Roy and Gene, that gentlemen outside of Hoppy that I all got a chance to meet and be with, which was a great thrill for me. But I wanted to be an actor, and a cowboy actor, and so forth, until my dad took me into a radio station when I was 10. I had started collecting records at 4 and took my little red wagon around the neighborhood and asked people for old records that they wanted to get rid of, because I was just obsessed with music and wanted to learn everything I could about all different types of music. So the collection eventually grew to 40,000 records. But my dad said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'll take you into a radio station." I watched the guy that afternoon, and I thought, boy, how great this is. You get to handle the records, you get to cue them up, you get to play them and talk about them. Then he said the magic words. He said, "Kid, see this box under the console?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, when the records are off the playlist, you get to take them home free." And I said, "This is a career for me."
Doesn't get better than that, huh?
But I fell into this at 13 one night. I was hanging around the radio station about 3 days a week, and one night, I was too shy to go and dance with girls at sock hops, and they were doing a live broadcast, and the disc jockey, about a half hour into the show, said, "I'm sick, I'm going home, you take it."
Oh,
I said, "I'm 13 years old." He says, "You know how to run the board." He says, "You finish the show."
Wow.
Next thing I knew, I had a radio show on Saturday nights, and one of the first stations I went to, I made $200 a month, 6 days a week. I had to mow the lawn on Saturday, and I had to feed the cows every day after the shift. You know, these were mom and pop radio stations,
Sure.
not like
not on the
big,
job description.
Big conglomerates today, but that was part of the deal. So learned a lot about life and a lot about radio in short amount of time.
I'll bet you did. This is exciting for me. I hope you guys are having as good a time as I am. So tell me more about some of the high points of your career. I understand that you actually have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yes, and that was a great moment. Actually, see, when my dad and I were walking Hollywood Boulevard back in 1960, 61, when they were first putting in the stars, and he said, "You work hard, son, and give 100% plus. Maybe someday you'll have one of these," because of course I still wanted to be an actor at that point.
Sure.
So I wound up in 1991 with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and I'm about 11 down from Elvis on the corner of Hollywood and Highland.
And good company.
But it's been a great career. I had a chance to do a lot of things, become a program director. I was a television weatherman for ABC back in Cleveland, entertainment reporter for Fox Television here in Los Angeles, won the LA Press Club Award for Best TV Entertainment, and I was actually the first to bring music reviews onto a television newscast.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
People were always doing movie reviews,
Sure.
but nobody did actual concert and music reviews of albums or concerts. So I had that concept, and now everybody does it. So,
Isn't that something? That's amazing. You wonder where those concepts came from, and there you go. And that's the thing that I want you to take away is look at the originality and how Brian created that career from as young as, 10, 13 years old, constantly focused on what he wanted to do. And that thing about being intentionally focused on your career, and look what he's done today. He's Mr. Rock and Roll.
which is a registered trademark.
There you go.
But it's a business too, though, that really will grind you up. I mean, the whole entertainment facet. When I got into the business, they said, "Kid, this is a 7-year business, and you'll be selling furniture or something in 7 years if you make it 7 years."
Really?
And I said, "No, I'm going to be a lifer in this. This is what I was supposed to do." And oddly enough, when my dad passed away several years ago, I opened up his army trunk, and he was a big guy that never gave the impression that he was sentimental. And inside was every card and letter I had ever sent him in my entire life. But I also found
That's amazing.
my birth announcement, which was a baby holding a microphone saying, announcing the birth of Brian Beirne.
There you go.
So I was kind of meant to do this.
I think so. Well, that's a good point, Brian, because we often talk about intention in what you're doing, and intently in being focused on creating what you do. And obviously that's an example of staying focused and purposely creating that process. So the idea is when you have a vision, think about Brian. Think about what he did consistently to grow in his career.
Well, and one of the things that happened if you all of a sudden find yourself unemployed as a top 40 disc jockey, which I did from time to time before the oldies career, I went into news to stay working, and won Billboard Magazine's Newscaster of the Year nationally.
Wow.
And then I left I wanted to become a program director and run a radio station and do that, and convinced RKO at the time that I could go and fix their radio stations, that I had the knowledge and wherewithal to fix the new oldies format that they were introducing, and they allowed me the chance to do it, and successful at that. And then I wanted to get back when they transferred me, and they said, "Where do you want to go?" And I said, "I really want to go to Los Angeles." That was my dream, and they gave me choices of different cities. But I said, "I want to go back on the air. I've been a program director now. I've been a news director. I've been a newscaster, but I want to go back and do what is really inside me," and that was tell the stories of rock and roll and have all the artists on my show and develop a whole concept there that nobody else was doing and fill that void. I've been blessed with a photographic memory to tell you every flip side, label, number, color of a record and stuff. My wife can't send me to the store for more than 3 items though, but I can sit there and walk through the store and go, "Oh, wait a minute, 1964, April." And she's just going, "No, dear, we're shopping now." No. But it was time. I said, "Give me a chance to go do this and do what's inside me and know what I can do, and I think I can create a show here that will be highly successful in Los Angeles. And you know, had a great run. I said, if it works, leave me alone and leave me there. If it doesn't work, you know, I'll go back into programming or whatever it is.
Right.
So, you know, it worked out well.
Well, if you listen to what Brian was talking about, he's talking about that passion once again. And he was so focused on what he wanted, and he knew what he wanted to do. That's that vision that we always talk about, that inner vision. When you have that vision and that passion, the next thing that Brian did was have the courage to move forward. So I'm excited to find out more. Now, how did you transition from a magnificent radio career to your entertainment company? I understand you have your own entertainment company.
Yeah, and we do it all from private parties to the Pacific Amphitheater. Just had one of the groups there recently. We'll go anywhere in the country. We provide the musical acts, obviously. We can do sound, lights, whatever you need. When I got off the radio, and it was time to go after 40 some odd years, because the industry had changed and I wanted to leave on a good note rather than see the car drive off the cliff. And it all became really very corporate toward the end. So I wanted to, I mean, I've been on stage since I was 13, and I certainly wasn't ready to go feed the ducks somewhere. So I wanted to, I had all of these friends that I had made from, you know, Elton John to Chubby Checker to whoever, and everybody had done my radio show over the years. A lot of these people became very good personal friends, and I had an entertainment company on the side for several decades. I produced a dozen years of the Greek theater called the Legends of Rock and Roll, which was really one of the high points, I think, in my life. We did over 120 different acts and had a great run. We had a lot of people whose careers that I resurrected. They were down and out, hadn't performed in years. We brought them back, restarted their whole life for them. In some cases, sobered them up, cleaned them up, and got them rehabilitated and performing in front of 6,000 people at the Greek Theater.
Wow.
Highlights of their life. So I started to really develop this full-time networking, rely on my reputation. If you don't have your reputation, you haven't got anything. And I've always had a good one and was very proud of it. So branched out and decided that I'd work at booking a lot of these entertainers and producing some more shows around the country. And that's what we've been doing for the last 7 years and having a good time.
Certainly sounds like a lot of fun. And it makes great sense. Brian followed that continual path that he's talked about, and you can too when you stay focused on what your passion is.
We had to transition also because a lot of the national acts now are, a lot of old friends are in rock and roll heaven, and the tribute acts became really the thing to book. The tribute acts actually have become now the new acts, if you will, and they have a following, you know, all of their own. So I swore, you know, before that I would never book a tribute act.
Right.
Until I found Surfin' Safari, the Beach Boys tribute, and I was so impressed with the fact that they had done their homework, studied every piece of film, and I said, you know, we can take this to a whole nother level, and original outfits, original guitars, amplifiers, the whole deal, and make this a real presentation, and not just like 5 guys singing Beach Boy songs on a, you know, or Janet Dean songs from the corner. One of the things I think that has helped me to be successful in the last few years is I've maintained a good quality of acts. I've worked with every dysfunctional act in history along the way, so I said, here's the deal now. I want to have fun, but no dysfunction. First sign of dysfunction, I won't manage you anymore, book you, you're done.
Right.
But good quality acts, and also priced right for the economy. A lot of people say, well, I'm not going to go out for less than my $10,000 a night. Well, fine. Then you can sit home and watch television.
Right.
And believe me, somebody else will fill your spot.
Yeah.
Or I can sell your show for $7,000. You make a little less, but you're working.
Right.
And you know, that's one of the things that's kept us going. Is I think that we're priced right for for the economy today, and also with good quality.
You know, and that's really the key, is good quality. And I've happened to have had the pleasure of listening to one of the groups that Brian's talking about, the Surf and Safaris. Really cool. If you love the Beach Boys, you got to follow that. Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. John.
Today.
Pleasure.
You know, I know how busy you are, obviously, so it's nice to see you here. And so, think about what Brian said. Look at his tremendous career and how that passion really drove him, and how he built it, and how he created new things and has done new things. And now with the acts that he's doing, what about you? What can you do that is based on your passion, and how can you expand it? So I hope you will go out there, listen to what Brian's talked about, and make that passion your own. Thanks for being with us, and this is Dr. John O'Keefe, and you've been listening to Celebrity Entrepreneur. Remember, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you're right.